Hey guys, hello again. I know it's been a crazy long time since I posted a video here on Damn Daddy, but I was really feeling inspired today. Please don't judge my pink girls. The wind really took control of my hair today. But it's St. Patrick's Day, Thursday, March 17th, 2016. Damn Daddy Thursdays are back, and this week we're focusing on the strength that comes from pain. Um, Brief background on how I ended up on this topic. A couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago to be exact, I went to, actually, last Thursday, 1 week ago, I went to an event with a friend of mine that we were extended free tickets to by a young man I had been in a situationship with. Situationships, Google it. And at the end of the night, things went smoothly. We enjoyed the show. It was middle school poets. Shout out to the young lady, Anaya P., who had the poem called Two-Faced Daddy that we both loved. And it was like, man, how does 12-year-old know my life? Like, 12 years old and she know my life. Um, but at the end of the night, my friend needed a ride to the train station because she came to visit my side of town and needed to get home. And we talked about a couple things in the car. You know how friends do. We chat about a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And at the end, she was like, you're a better woman than me or a stronger woman than me for being able to. She said, I don't see how you guys had the type of relationship you had and you can be so platonic with him now. And it just was like, I don't want to make the same mistakes that I've been making. And I can't hold my growth against somebody else. Just because it's time for me to grow doesn't mean it's time for that person to grow or that we're growing in the same directions. Not to insinuate that that person wasn't growing. We just didn't have the same goals in mind at the time. And I'm not going to pretend it was some easy feat, but I just didn't see it warranting her feeling like I was a stronger person than she was. To me, it just was like, these are the facts. That person didn't really want to be with me the way I needed somebody to be with me at that time. And then after looking back on it, that wasn't the person I needed to be with at that time either. So it's hard because you care about people and we still cool if I see him, I speak to him and there's no animosity there. But I just didn't see it warranting putting me on a pedestal of sort. I don't know. It's been happening to me a lot lately, and I just want to know what my friends see in me. That they see this Wonder Woman persona? Not that I've ever read a Wonder Woman comic book to really know what Wonder Woman was about, but I just keep getting that vibe from people lately where they see something in me that sometimes I'm unable to see because they say things to me like, "Oh, that would never happen to you." Well, how do you know? I'm human just like you're human. And did you expect it to happen to you? I had a friend that I grew up with say to me when we were in high school and I was getting ready to go to college, you were always the one that was supposed to make it. That blew my mind. Like, to this day, I graduated high school almost 10 years ago. No, it didn't. Almost 8 years ago. Yeah, almost 8 years ago. It'll be 8 years in June. I graduated high school almost 8 years ago, and it still resonates with me to this day. That person that I grew up with said, "You were always the one that was supposed to make it." What does that even mean? Why can't we all make it? It's how I felt. But for whatever reason, my friends and other people that I meet seem to think I have like some krypton. Is that what makes Superman strong? No, I think that's his downfall. Whatever it is, they think that I have it. Another friend of mine was dealing with some issues with her children and their father. And I was like, man, girl, this is exactly why I decided to take my time having children because if I ended up in that situation, I might catch a homicide charge if someone had insinuated the things about me that this gentleman is insinuating about you. And she was like, oh, that would never happen to you. I genuinely don't understand. But what I do know is that what does separate me from those individuals, or at those period of time those statements were made, is that I was able to find strength from the pain I was dealing with. Yeah, it hurts. Things still hurt. I hold grudges. I am not that person who lets things go easily. My former best friend was the first person to point that out to me right when I was on the brink of making her my former best friend. She was like, is there anything I can do to fix this? Because when you cut people off, you cut people off forever. I was like 15 at the time. She saw that in me before I saw it in me. I was like, you know what, you're right. There's a lot of people who, once they crossed me, it's like the limit does not exist. You no longer exist. It's okay for you to continue being yourself. You just can't be that way toward me. And if you're going to continue to behave that way, I'm going to pretend you don't exist. Um, and that's just how I deal with things. It's like, why should I keep allowing somebody access to hurt me when they've already shown me who they are? Maya Angelou said it best: when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. That's still a lesson I'm learning. I tend to give people more chances than the first time, but you have to find strength in your pain. If you are the type of person who's dealing with an abusive father, hopefully that strings you into being the type of person who will not be in an abusive relationship um, romantically later on in life. Not saying that you should just let your father beat on you. There are people you can call when you're in those situations. But just seriously, whatever daddy issues, mommy issues, internal issues you're dealing with, make sure you are finding some type of strength in that pain you're dealing with. For me, I do not like to be ignored. Can't deal with it. Epiphany. That's crazy. I hate being ignored, but as soon as somebody crosses me, they no longer exist. My ignore game is A1. Gotta make sure that I am not projecting my pain onto other people. Side note. Anyway, I don't like to be ignored. That's my number one pet peeve. You can't talk right now. My aunt is great at this. I call her at work. Not a good time. I'll call you later. Okay, cool. Thank you for letting me know. Don't just ignore my calls. Like, seriously, I always think people are dead when they don't answer their phone with me. Not just my mom or my family. Like, if you do not answer my calls, I automatically assume you're dead. Because it's not that hard to say can't talk right now. Um, my point was grow from your pain. I don't like being ignored. The strength I found from that is, instead of dwelling on people ignoring me, I learned to enjoy my alone time. So now my time is valuable to me and it's hard to access. And people want me to come here, come there, do this, do that. And I'm like, no, I'm writing today. Like, seriously, about an hour ago, my mom called me. I answered. I said, I'm writing right now. I'll call you back in a few minutes. She said, okay. I hung up. You got to find some type of strength from that. For me, my strength with that situation with that young man, with that I developed before even knowing him, was from my biological father, Buddha. He was the type of person to say things and not have the actions to support the things he was saying. I saw that pattern. I didn't like that pattern. I learned how to see that pattern a lot faster than I did as a child. And now I avoid people who show me that pattern. And I don't just, oh, it's not like a radar that goes off and the person turns yellow or something that tells me avoid that person. But I've learned from those signs. And instead of taking 12 years like it did for me to see my father, I can see it in a few months, in a few weeks, in a few missed calls, and how you act after those missed calls, missed text messages, miscommunications in general. You know, I can't talk right now, or sorry I didn't get back to you yesterday, had a lot going on. Anybody can interpret that how they want to. But, you know, that's my strength. My strength is seeing people's intentions a lot faster than it might take others to see them, and being able to detach myself without the same amount of emotional backlash that it would take for other people. Like my friend felt like she wouldn't have been able to be cordial and be platonic with somebody who she shared such an intimate space with the way I was. And it wasn't easy. You know, I'm not going to get into how I felt in that day, but it wasn't something that made me feel like, oh my gosh, I can never be in the same room with him again. It just was like, you know what? You know you're going, you know he'll be at that event. Be yourself. And if that's still somebody you like, things will go well. He still likes me for who I am. I still like him for who I am. We just know what lines we can't cross with one another anymore. So whoever you are out there and you dealing with some things, whatever it is you're dealing with, find a strength from that situation and use that strength to your benefit. Hindsight is 2020. Whatever happened to you in the past doesn't have to happen to you in the future. Learn from it, grow from it, be strong from it. Damn Daddy Thursdays.